Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Debate Hub. I am Chesh, your master debater, and I am here with Chris Shelton and Dapper Dinosaur, and I have been excited for this since we decided we were gonna do it.
So, 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, 4 or 5 days. I've just been like, let's go. I want to say a quick thanks to everybody in the chat who's joining us. Thank you, everybody. We have now reached 10 members officially, so thank you, Prixie Purple, for becoming the 10th member. If you'd like to support the channel and keep these kinds of things going, you want to host debates and discussions that are actually worth a damn, consider showing up over here. And guess what? No Nazis. No Nazis here. The one rule. Yeah, right? Thank you so much. Do we need, I don't know if either of you even need introductions, but we should probably let it happen anyway. Dapper, do you want to go first, then we'll let Chris go?
Yeah, sure. I'm Dapper Dinosaur. I am currently coming to you from a cell phone, so that explains why things are different, in case anyone's wondering. But yeah, I have a channel, Dapper Dinosaur. It is mostly counter young Earth creationism, but there's also other pseudoscience and pseudo-scholarship stuff. Recently, we were talking about, what language were the Hebrew scriptures originally written in? And you might think that the name Hebrew scriptures would tell you the answer to that, but there's a classicist who disagrees, and so we're taking a look at his claims. Yeah, so check that out. And also I have a second channel, Top Hats Off, where I do a lot of stuff like art or gaming stuff, and Chesh is, she basically half runs that channel, so you can also see a lot of Chesh over there, so there you go.
I'm a helper.
Talking Heads? What was that called?
Top Hats Off.
Top Hats Off.
Top Hats.
Yeah.
Top
Yeah.
Hats Off.
I'll send you a link later if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. I'd love to see what y'all are up to over there.
Shenanigans, I assure you.
Shenanigans.
Metageeky Platypus Librarian, thank you so much, became a amateur debater. Thank you so much. The levels are, what are they, Dapper? What are the levels?
Well, you didn't use all of them, so I don't remember which ones you used. But I know that, amateur, I think that's amateur, apprentice, junior, and master debater.
Yeah, master debater. You too can become a master debater just like me. Chris, who are you and why are you here?
Okay, so my name's Chris Shelton. I'm an ex-cult member, and I've been talking about cults for over a decade now, mainly Scientology, but also branching out to lots and lots of other destructive cults and groups. And I got so into it that I went and got a degree in coercive control, so I could talk about that like I know what I'm talking about. And otherwise, I'm just a guy full of opinions.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all just a guy full of opinions? Thank you so much for joining us today, both of you. Today, we are going to be talking about the wacky, tobacco, crazy Scientology speedruns that have been going on and sort of where, what it sort of means, how they started, whether or not you think that they are going to mean anything in the long term, and whether or not they're going to be, effective as any kind of, I guess, protest or any kind of, advancement to fighting, quote-unquote, Scientology. So, I mean, Dapper went first for introduction, so why don't we let Chris give some of his thoughts first.
Okay. Yeah, this mic is just not doing the job today, and I'm going to have to figure out why. But here we are. So the TikTok speedruns are a game, and they're being played as a game. And that's my big, deep analysis, right? But it's an important point because it's not activism. It's not raising awareness. It's not let's do this for the common good. It's let's go have fun, prodding and poking at this fake religion called Scientology. And sure enough, I'm going to be the first in line to tell you it's a fake religion. But right from the get-go, I have said, going and hostily, antagonistically, goading them and in real life, making fun of people in that place is only going to make things worse. These are very, very serious people who take themselves very seriously, the Scientologists, and especially the people they're going after mostly, which is the SEAL members, right? The real fanatical folks. So it's all fun and games, but when you rile up a destructive cult, then there are going to be consequences. And I'm not worried about Scientology. I don't care about Scientology. The Church of Scientology is a destructive cult. I just as soon see it gone. But this isn't how it's going to be gone. This isn't going to make it go away. This is only going to rile them up and make them angry. And Scientology, when they're angry at you, your life could be changed very, very radically for the worst, for the worst. So that's my basic take on it. I got lots else I could say, but that's my basic position on it to start with. So let's start with that.
Well, I do know that you wrote sort of a bit of an article on Reddit, and I have that pulled up, but I'm going to share it in the chat so anybody can read it. And if you don't mind, I'm also going to share it on my community tab, so anybody who's interested and wants to find it there to read it later, they will be able to, but there it is for you guys if you guys are interested. It's a very interesting read. Dapper, what are your thoughts?
I mean, first, I don't think I disagree very much. I will say I do think there might be some way in which it might raise awareness a little bit, in that it is alerting people who often don't have it on their mind that Scientology is a thing. And I think pretty much everyone, well, not everyone, but I think most people who are aware of Scientology are also aware of how destructive it is. And so I don't think it's doing enough raising awareness of like reminding people, hey, there's this destructive cult that's got lots of money and they're out there recruiting. I don't think it's going to raise awareness enough to offset the negatives, but I do think it is doing that to a tiny degree, which is not a big disagreement. I think one thing that I would like to say is, this is very illegal. You can get into a lot of trouble. So for one thing, trespass like this is generally going to be a misdemeanor, and I'm not a lawyer, so this isn't legal advice, but maybe ask a lawyer about the things I'm about to say if you're thinking about doing a Scientology speedrun. Because while this would normally be a misdemeanor, if you do this because you were targeting the people in the building, or just the building, because it's associated with a religion, which you are, let's be honest, that is a hate crime enhancement, which can turn this into a felony.
Yep.
You can get a felony rap sheet for running through the Church of Scientology. Yep. Will you? I don't know. Probably not for most people. But do you want to be the guy who gets caught with the felony as a warning to everyone else? I don't think you do. Also, there's a safety thing, not just for you doing the speedrun, but also for the people in the building. Right now, the buildings that this has been happening to, which is mostly the testing center in LA and Hollywood on the, the Walk of Fame, that building, as well as some associated buildings nearby, currently have the doors chained shut with a bike lock, and the door handles from the external door handles removed. If there's a fire inside that building, people will die. It is a fire hazard. Now, I would hope that someone will report this to the fire marshal locally, because, quite frankly, that's also illegal. But, you're just making it more dangerous for everyone. And I don't think that, say, Shannon, who seems to be in charge of the testing building right there, is going to start leaving Scientology because Jesus and Sonic the Hedgehog ran through her building.
Exactly.
Which is hilarious, I'll grant, as Chesh demonstrated. So
it's funny.
I don't want to pretend it is funny. I'm not going to pretend it's not. And when I saw that, I did laugh, and my first reaction was to send this video to a few people with whom I share funny things. But also, it is a really bad idea for so many reasons.
I mean, like a lot of things.
It's a jackass level of activism, if you will, right? Again, I don't even want to call it activism, but it's attention-seeking behavior, right? And that's just how I talk, so get used to it. Sorry, but that's how I talk. It's attention-seeking behavior. But it is, right?
He's a professional.
That is solely what they are doing, and so it is funny. There is no question. There was a dude who got this nose and head cap. And he had all these, I don't know what the dwarves, midgets, little people, he had all these folks with him, right, at the pack base. And they were doing these, they were just doing this little thing and these various skits or whatever. And it was funny. I was laughing. I mean, I was like, damn, I don't know the people in Scientology anymore because I've been out for about 12 years. And the people who show up on video are not folks I know. but I know the place and I know what they're doing and I know what it's all about there, right at the back base in LA, because that's where I lived for 17 years. I lived on that base. I was in the Sea Org. And so I know exactly what life is like for those people right now, dealing with this kind of external, what they call attacks. That's how they think about it. They don't think about this as fun and games. They think that they are under siege right now.
They kind of a little bit are. They're under siege for fun and games for everybody else.
To some extent, yeah. I mean, I don't think the speedrunners are going to try to kill anyone or, like, burn down the buildings. But, yeah, it is an attack.
It is. And if they could, and let's be real, if there are some kids who thought they could get away with starting a fire or doing something like that and throwing stuff around in there, some of them would do that. You know they would. So it does get to a place where there could be, additional ideas of vandalism or, arson or stuff like that. I'm just saying, it's not like it's off the menu entirely.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that tends to happen with this over time is, especially with social media involved, is escalation. It's not enough to just enter the building. You have to go all, and that's why I say it's a game. It's LARPing, right? Because, and I said this in my video yesterday, but I'm not saying that as some insult or as some like, they're just, I'm just trying to identify what they're doing, right? They're LARPing, they're live action role playing. They're playing a video game in real life. And all the language they use, as I put in my essay, is gamification language. It's levels and big bosses and trying to round the corner and find Tom Cruise, right? And this kind of stuff.
He's the final boss.
Guess that, the big bosses, right? They're always looking for the bosses. And so it's a game kind of thing. But the problem with that is in the real world, in order for social media, especially at places like TikTok, short form content, you have to escalate to continue to get attention or to be noticed. And so that invites more criminal behavior, because as you said, it's already criminal behavior. You're automatically committing a crime by running around in their building when they don't want you there. You're already bumping into people, and guess what? That's assault. You're already disrupting stuff, and that could be a charge. And then you add the hate crime of this being a religious organization. Whether you and I agree it's religious, it is.
It doesn't matter.
It's the law.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Nobody's asking you in a court of law your opinion about whether it was a religion or not. No one cares when you're actually facing off with a judge. And that's what these guys don't get.
My understanding is that in California, if you trespass on a property for the purposes of committing a felony, that triggers the burglary law, which means that if this is judged to be a hate crime, which is a fairly high chance it will be, that would also mean that they can tack on a burglary charge. So now you're facing 2 felonies. And I don't know. I feel like in my everyday life, I try to avoid committing felonies where possible, One of my rules of thumb.
I mean, is Scientology not notoriously litigious as well?
They are notoriously litigious, but in actuality, they've been much less litigious in the last 20 years or so.
Okay.
I think a big part of that is that litigation often involves discovery, and holy shit, do they not want to have to comply with discovery about anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, true. They don't want to engage in discovery, but don't make the mistake that they're not going to press criminal charges, because a lawsuit with discovery and criminal charges where you're faced with trespassing charges, there is no discovery phase in that.
Yeah.
Well, there is, but it will be
right where you have to get them to give you all their goods.
Yeah, it'll be just the prosecution giving you and your lawyer the evidence for why they think you're the guy who did the thing, and that will not get you anything about child trafficking on the free winds. It won't get you anything about where Shelley Miscavige has been in hiding for all these years. None of that.
And it's really not going to help you when you posted and filmed your your crimes on the internet.
No, it's bad news all around. And they literally are posting their evidence on the internet. I mean, the Scientology, let's get this out of the way right away, right? Is one of the things that's happening right now is Scientology is in full-blown evidence collection and investigation mode. And just to let people know what that looks like, it looks like a slow process. That's why nobody's going to jail right now. It doesn't work that fast. What you should do is look up Anonymous in 2008, Project Chanology. The anonymous protests. They went on for over a year, and they were well organized, and it started an awful lot like this is starting, right? It's all trolling, fun and games, lulz, ha ha ha, where else is having fun. But they were committing crimes, and as a result, some of them went to jail.
Yep.
And it took a while for that to happen, but it happened. And Scientology, as I was saying in a video yesterday, Scientology plays the long game. They don't have anything else to do all day except find out everything about you.
Right.
And they'll spend weeks and months doing that. And once they know everything about you, and as for these kids, that means they know everything about their parents, everything about their lives, where they work, how much they make, who their friends are, what their entire Facebook social media profile looks like. They will have all of that information. They will go on to every public access database. They pay for the LexisNexis stuff. They do skip tracing. They can find every place you've ever lived. All of this stuff is easy for them to do. This is just an easy afternoon.
Yeah.
Then the private investigators get hired, and you start being followed around.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you're the target. You as an individual. You thought you were just running through a building and it was all just fun and games. 5 months later, you're being surveilled.
Yeah.
And you quickly find out there is no law against Scientology doing that to you. They can follow you everywhere you go. They can go through your trash. They can contact everybody in your neighborhood, and they will. Mm-hmm. And they will tell your neighbors, you are a religious bigot and a hater and someone who commits crimes against religion.
Yeah.
And they'll spread this to everybody you know.
And they technically will be wrong.
This is just the stuff. This is just lightweight stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the easy mode.
I'm just painting this picture because I really want people to understand that when you take on the Church of Scientology, there will be consequences. It's not something they are not a turn the other cheek religion, So anyway, enough said, but just wanted to put that out there.
Well, I think there's also another thing that actually we talked about a little bit earlier, which is to say that if you're doing this and you think that you're doing some kind of strike against the Church of Scientology, or that you're, getting that cult, one of the things I need everyone to remember is that in a cult, in a high control, undue influence group, which is what I mean by cult here, basically everyone who's in that cult is a victim, even though many of them are also perpetrators in the cult. And so what's one of the tricky things about trying to advocate against a cult is that the people you're advocating against are the perpetrators, but they're also all the victims, right? Like the people who are in that building who are working 14 hours a day for $50 a week or something, if they're lucky, those people are victims of Scientology. They're trapped in that situation, just like anyone else who ever blew out of a Sea Org base or anything like that, right? Those are not the people
Nixium
who are in charge of this.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Well, that's
Nixium
a really
is a great example.
Point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Thanks.
Okay, so I wrote this book and published it last week.
New book drop.
The reason I'm pimping it right now is because the last chapter of it is called Victims and Victimizers. And it's one of the things about these groups is that, victims and victimizers, right? So one of the problems with these groups is that every single person who's involved in it is a victim of the group. All the way to the top, David Miscavige, the guy who runs the thing, right? He's a second gen. He was raised in this stuff. He never had any other view of the world but Scientology. And that makes them victims, and yet they're also just like I was when I was in Scientology, also a victimizer. You're an abuser. You become somebody who enables abuse, and to a greater or lesser degree. And the deeper you go, the more abusive you become, to the point where you could be, physically assaulting other members of your group, and it's completely justified. It's disciplinary. It's this, it's that. And that's what happened to me, is I had people assault me. I fortunately didn't assault other people physically. I didn't have to, because I could psychologically assault them. Scientology has, a laundry list of things it does internally to control its members. And it's a long list. Scientology is one of the most dangerous cults out there because of the number of stuff, just the volume of stuff they have to mess with you when you're inside. So anyway, it's an important point, because the people that are being attacked right now have nothing to do with the structure or creation of Scientology. They are victims of it, as Dapper said. It's a perfect point. But I just wanted to reiterate it. So there you go.
They're not the ones who wrote those policy memos. That was Hubbard, and he's gone.
Nope.
We're not going to get to him. I mean,
Right.
maybe if
What
he
if we
comes
run
back
fast
eventually.
enough?
Yeah.
Well,
And let's be clear,
look,
you're never going to get to David Miscavige.
no.
It's not challenge accepted. You're never going to do it, and you'll die trying. They will kill you before you get to David Miscavige. I'm not even kidding. They will stop you, and they will hurt you before you're even anywhere near him. So that's just not something you want to mess with. One of the things I was trying to say in my Q&A yesterday, and I know I get all serious about this, but it's because I'm really concerned for their safety. Not Scientologist safety. I'm concerned for these TikTokers. I really am, because they keep pushing the boundaries, and they're going to get hurt. And it's called. I've seen this as being described as we're simping for Scientology, which I find really insulting, because I've been fighting Scientology silly. For 12 straight years. I am not simping for Scientology when I say this
right.
stuff,
Another thing in terms of safety is also some of these situations where they've locked the doors to either prevent or in reaction to this, they've locked down these buildings with members of the public who are not Scientologists in the building, which puts those people at risk too. The people that you're trying, if you're trying anything, to get out of that building so that they don't join, if you have any activist impulse at all, that's probably part of it, right? And yet, these are people who are being physically trapped inside of the building. That's not great.
Yeah.
If I were in the testing center, which is not a place I would likely find myself, but if I were in there, I would like to be able to physically leave, even if it's impolite to do so. Because it does seem like the way that they trap people in there is mostly by just making it seem rude for you to get up and leave. It doesn't seem like they're physically restraining members of the public. They're just like, oh, well, could you just fill out this one little questionnaire? And, oh, you want to leave during the movie? But it's almost done. You should just finish it. And then they'll just keep doing that for hours.
I hate
but,
that.
like, they're not... Yeah, I do too. But, like, that's a whole different thing from physically locking you inside of a building so that no matter how rude you are, you can't physically exit. And that's what this is causing to happen to people who are just in there and
the
are
poor mailman.
Right. And also, if there's someone who's like, oh, well, this Scientology thing, maybe I'll get into that. And then the people who trap them in there aren't the Scientologists, but are a bunch of crazy people from TikTok wearing Sonic the Hedgehog costumes. They're not going to blame the Scientologists for trapping them in there. They're going to blame the TikTokers from trapping them in there, which is a reasonable thing for them to blame.
Yeah, exactly. What sort of things have you guys heard? Let me ask you, because I've heard a lot, but I'm curious what you guys have heard as to what kind of level of crime or what kind of level of crazy goes on inside Scientology churches, and specifically in Sea Org. Have you guys heard things like pedophiles and sex rings and sex trafficking and stuff like that?
Most of what I heard is just stuff from watching Chris Shelton's content. So
okay, where I don't talk about anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any reports of sex trafficking. I am aware of reports of human trafficking, where people are used for what would generally be ordinary labor, but for many, many hours, without their passports, but I'm not aware of any accusations of sex trafficking. I am aware of accusations of forced abortions.
Yep.
So
Yep.
forced abortions, yes. I have not heard about any kind of like child sexual abuse allegations. But then again, I'm not constantly following it, so.
Chat is
Well,
answering your question as well a little bit, and they're saying beatings, blackmail, money vanishing, sexual assaults. Sort of the stuff
Yeah.
I'm listing
Okay.
off.
So some true, some false, right? Yes, sexual assault has happened in Scientology, and yes, child sexual assault has happened in Scientology, but it's not dogmatic and it's not institutional. So it's not a matter that the institution of Scientology runs a pedophile ring or something like that. I bring it up because I've seen a lot of very hyperbolic claims about Scientology online, and especially on Reddit and social media, where there are claims made of, you know, children being held prisoner right now in the tunnels underneath the PAC base.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Republicans, not the Scientologists.
Yeah, exactly. This is where it gets weird, right? Because it does bring this QAnon level of, you know, Comet ping pong style, you know, stuff to Scientology. Yeah. And Scientology is already bad enough. Like, it's really bad. But when you make it worse just for sensational purposes, it doesn't help, right? And one thing that I do wonder about is whether these kids or certain people online are egging this on or think this is a great thing because they believe Scientology is actually doing things, you know, at a level that the Republican Party is doing it, right? Let's say, and it's not exactly that, right? Not
Zing!
That does bring up the whole, like, is it activism? And why I say I don't think it's activism, but I think there might be some slight activist impulse in that it's clear that Scientology is something that these people find an acceptable target for this activity, whereas you do not generally see this with most religious buildings, right? Like, no one's going over to, like, St. Patrick's Cathedral in, like, New York and doing a speed run into, like, the sacristy or something. Like, this is not happening. No one's going over to, like, the local mosque to see how fast they can run around the whole thing without taking their shoes off or something. And so it's a little complicated because on the one hand, I do feel like Scientology is destructive in a way that your local Catholic church or your local masjid or whatever isn't. At least, hopefully. Maybe there's some exceptions out there. But, like, that doesn't justify it on its own. And so if you're thinking, well, you know, they deserve it, to some extent I get that, right? I understand why you think that.
Well, I'll go so far as to say
enough.
that they do. I'll say they do deserve it, but it's just the wrong move. Okay.
Somebody deserving something does not necessarily mean it's effective to whatever the end goal is going to be.
Exactly. It's not that they haven't pulled this in. Mm-hmm. And that's a Scientology phrase, so if you know, you know. I was hoping Dapper would get it, but he didn't, so.
Sorry.
They pulled it in, Dapper. Anyway.
Sorry.
You guys watching have no idea how much absolute nonsense these two have been talking in DMs that I'm just watching go by like, oh, boom! It's so funny.
Poking how far into the terminology he knows. Because it's deep. It's a deep well, folks. It's deep, right?
Oh,
There's a lot to Scientology.
I certainly haven't found the bottom.
I believe it is true. I believe this is a true statement. That there is more written Scientology material than there is any other religion's written materials in terms of founder written materials. Now, if you go the full canon of Christianity and Augustine and everybody who's ever written about it, it probably out is bigger than Scientology. But in terms of the original writings, I don't think anybody else comes close. Hubbard was prolific, and there's a tremendous amount to know. But that aside.
Well, Christianity's at 0 for founder-written scripture, so, like, you know. It's a low bar.
So how Scientology is structured, let's talk about activism for a minute, right? Activism is, for one, and the difference that I drew in my essay, right, is activism is about helping the people inside. It's not about just, you're not an activist if you're trying to wipe something from the earth and hurt a bunch of people in the process, right? You don't give a shit about them. That's not activism, right? Activism is being active, is taking a stand, is doing things in favor of or in pushing for an agenda. It's agenda-driven behavior, but it's agenda-driven behavior to help, not to hurt or destroy. Yeah. So right away we have a difference there. But it's not even good activism if it were activism, because here's why. Scientology is a money-making scam. Guess where they don't make any of their money at all? Right? The test center. The places you can see and get to, the churches on the streets in Denver and Los Angeles and, Keokuk, wherever, they're not making any money. That's not where Scientology's money is coming from. It comes from services, high level, thousands of dollars an hour kind of services that are done in Clearwater, Florida. And it is done through the whales, the big, big money donors to Scientology. There's a guy named Tom Cummins. There's a woman named Trish Duggan. She happens to be one of the richest people anywhere. And she has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Scientology. Trish Duggan never, ever sees a protester or activist or anybody telling her, what the hell are you doing, lady? Nobody ever shows up to her museum in Clearwater. She has a little museum. It's this weird, spacey, crazy museum that she has where she shows off artwork and stuff. This is a real building you can go to. Nobody ever goes there and protests her giving hundreds of millions of dollars to Scientology. If you wanted to create an effect on Scientology that actually mattered, you'd go look up those whales. They publish their names in biannual magazines telling you how much people have given. They list them all out.
They give people awards for donating lots of money publicly.
Yeah, go get the people who are actually funding Scientology. That's how you hurt Scientology. Everything they're doing, they could close the test center tomorrow and everybody takes a victory lap. And the reason I go, you idiots, is because that doesn't touch Scientology's money.
Well, if anything, it might help them because it makes them look like victims.
Of course it does. And that's why they're going to milk this. That's why they're showing videos of, hiding behind the doors. Scientology is accumulating hundreds of hours of video right now from all of their churches where this is happening to be the martyr, to be the religious martyr here, right? And call all these people religious bigots. And they're not religious bigots because they're not attacking Scientology because they hate religion. They're playing a game. So it's not even really bigotry, but it will be framed that way, and it will be framed as a hate crime because they get to do that,
And it probably meets the legal definition for a hate crime.
Scientology actually holds all the cards here. And that's what nobody sees, who's on social media right now, because they're so revved up with what a blow they're striking to Scientology. And I'm sitting here going, man, you guys have no idea how the power in Scientology is actually distributed. So I just thought I'd make that point.
Yeah, and I think Dapper is right. No, you're good. I think Dapper is right, though. It would probably meet the legal definition for hate crime. Orange Dot for Two said...
It will make the case. They will absolutely make the case. I'm saying that if you want to get into the head of these kids... I severely doubt that it is an anti-religious crusade they're on. These kids don't know anything about Scientology. How could they hate it as a religion? That's not what's going on, right?
Also, if it were just I hate religion, there are so many softer targets than the Scientology test center.
Oh my God, so many, right?
Yeah.
So many, because these guys don't know yet what they're in for. That's
Oh,
all.
yeah.
They just haven't
They haven't
gotten
figured
it
that
yet.
out yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orange Dot for 2 said, giving a crazy cult social cash is always dumb. Yeah, it's not a good time. It ends up in the long run being more harmful. But you, in your essay that you sort of posted on Reddit, you were comparing it, and you already brought it up as well here, to the prior anonymous situation from 2008. And I was wondering, what do you think would need to happen in this scenario for it to become something more productive?
Yep, and then it has to get a moral foundation. They need a purpose or a drive that is not lulls. And with Anonymous in 2008, Anonymous was a hacktivist group, right? So they're online trolls mostly, think 4chan, stuff like that, like pretty goofy people and just kids having fun. And then the internet, right? Scientology tried to get a video that Tom Cruise, an internal video of Tom Cruise accepting an award and talking like a crazy person, because that's who Tom Cruise really is. And this video got online, it was leaked, and Scientology tried to get it taken down. And Anonymous responded to that. They were like, what the hell? What do you mean you're trying to take it down? You can't censor the internet, you bastards. And it was the Streisand effect, right? It just like blew up, and this video went everywhere, and suddenly everybody saw Tom Cruise in this turtleneck shirt talking like a fucking crazy person, right? And this was shortly around the time, or shortly before, the Oprah couch jumping and, the Katie Holmes thing and all the crazy that Tom Cruise demonstrated in the 2000s was all around this video in this time period. So Scientology wanted that video taken down, and Anonymous went, no, you don't. And they went after them and exposed that and started protesting Scientology. But they were doing it for the lulz, and they were doing it just to have fun, until a guy named Mark Bunker made a video very shortly, like within a week or two of this whole thing starting with Anonymous. This was in early 2008, January. He makes this video and he says, hey guys, if you're going to do this, there's some things you should know, right? And he spoke some words of caution, and he said, look, if you're going to do this, you really need to be more Gandhi-like. And Mark had his own personal experience, because he was part of the Lisa McPherson Trust back in Clearwater in the 1990s, when Scientology basically killed Lisa McPherson through medical neglect and a bunch of other crap, and got away with it. So Mark Bunker was OG, right? He knew what he was talking about. He had taken on Scientology. And he became known as Wise Beard Man. He had this beard. And they were like, his words are wise, his face is beard. Right? He was Wise Beard Man. And he became this kind of like inspiration for them. And it was interesting.
White Beard Man.
Yeah, Wise Beard Man. So he became iconic. And they took it, and they paid attention to what he said, and they started looking online and looking up videos and looking up stuff about Scientology and really finding out about it. Not just, it's evil and must be destroyed, but let's really find out what it's more about.
You need to know your enemy.
That's right. And then they got smart, because then it wasn't just faxing, black pieces of paper to use up their fax machine or doing DDoS attacks. It was protests with signs that actually said something useful, like, talking to the members inside. When was the last time you got paid? When was the last time you saw your family? How are you doing? Like, questions like that on placards made a difference. I was in Scientology when they were doing that. I read those signs and I was like, motherfuck, when was the last time I got paid? Like, it actually got through. And that's activism. That's doing something, right? Positive, and move the ball down the road to alert the people in the world and the people in the cult, something's wrong here, And that's the tune that Anonymous started singing for a year before it broke up, because there were always factions inside, and sustaining something for a year like that is championship level organizing. It's a tremendous amount of work. So That's how Anonymous did it. And of course, I'm skipping all kinds of details, and I don't know all the details, but there's,
Truncated
that's
version.
the broad picture. This, in comparison, starts the same way. It starts as a game, it starts as lulls, it starts as laughs, right? It could turn over into something if the people who, if thought leaders, two things have to happen. Certain TikTokers or certain opinion leaders would have to enter into the space that people started listening to.
Yeah.
Because right now they're not listening to anybody except, rah, let's have fun, rah. So it's kind of like that mode right now. But if they could settle down and start listening, then a leader or leaders or organizers or influencers or however, whatever word you want to use, could kind of rise up and start organizing things. And they could start organizing protests with all the bodies they have who are willing to show up and do something. But instead of busting into the building and committing crimes, they could actually protest the way you classically protest. And if they chose their targets strategically rather than reactively or visibly, like what's the most visible thing we can do? Oh, the test center. But that's a dumb fucking target. It's the stupidest target to go after. Going after Trish Duggan, going after Bob Duggan, going after Tom Cruise, going after Tom Cummins, going after the fucking Bart Simpson, Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. That woman has given hundreds of millions of dollars to Scientology. I'm not even kidding. Most of the churches in Southern California that moved into their new facilities did so because she paid half the bill to buy those new buildings, right? So a little bit of research would give you much better targets to go after. And quite frankly, I've been waiting for the day that, Nancy Cartwright's house gets protested, right? People are marching around out there going, what the hell are you doing, lady? That would actually start making a difference.
People start running, staying in the public space and run Naruto running around the buildings.
Exactly.
Dapper, right? What are your thoughts? Do you think there's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That would start hitting them in the wallet, and that's where they need to be hit. It's a money-making scam, so find out, follow the money.
Yeah.
Really is all I'm suggesting. This isn't like
it's a lot
science,
easier, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah. And it would have such an effect on Scientology. Oh, my God. If you really wanted to hurt them, you go after those whales and you start making their life difficult as major Scientology enablers.
Yeah.
Right? And again, I'm not at all suggesting breaking and entering into their houses.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying go protest. Don't go commit crimes against them. Don't hurt them. Right? Open their eyes. Give them some consequences for all these hundreds of millions of dollars they've been giving.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, my hot take.
I want to give Dapper a chance to give his thoughts on it, and then I'm just going to give us a miniature break so we can all refill our drinks, and then I have Q&As, because we got a lot of questions in the chat. So, Dapper, what do you think?
Great.
So, I think I would agree with everything there. I think the only thing I would really add is, if you're going to protest, because I think some of the people doing the speedruns might think that they're protesting. They're wrong about that.
Oh, they do.
You want to protest,
I know they're thinking that. Yeah.
If you want to protest, there's some important things to do. One of them is be informed on the topic as much as possible. Know as much about what's going on, and be in a protest in a way where the media can come and ask you a question, and you will have cogent answers that make sense and are rhetorically effective. So this is the first step before you protest should be learn what the hell you're protesting, why you're protesting it, and how to express that meaningfully. So that is all I have to add there.
Yeah, right, have some talking points, right? Activism is about raising awareness, so what do you want to raise awareness about? Choose a thing, right? Because Scientology's got it all.
Oh, yeah.
They have talking points already. They've got them all listed out. They know what to say.
All right, I'm going to give us a quick break. Everybody, go refill your drinks, go get a snack. We'll be back. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and we will be right back. Hi, thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to come in before we start back in, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. You will notice if you are watching this live in the future, and it is no longer live, that the Q&A portion will be missing for you. That is because the Q&A portion of these videos get cut out and then made into their own videos that are available for members. So if you want to become a member, it's like $1. Do it. Do it. Do it for me. Do it for you. You deserve it.